Well, hello out there. For those of you who are just joining us, some new brick notes came our way. We're going to go over them for you for a second to see what you can look forward to in the upcoming iterations of LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed. Let's get into it right now, shall we? Oh, wait, what is this? It's a giant empty picture that says brick notes on the top. That might be more appropriate than you know. This is the picture that was attached to the brick notes announcement that Maria made this morning. The irony being that this is a very appropriate picture because the brick notes say effectively nothing. But let's go ahead and read through them, see what Maria had to say, and if you disagree with me, then please post it in the comments. Here we go. Brick notes number 2, beginning of the year. Hello everyone, hope you had a nice cozy holiday with your loved ones. So are we, but we still have something to say since the vacations are over. Ugh! And we're back on track. So you'll notice right away that the English is a little bit loose. To remind everybody, the team is in Ukraine now, so English is not their first language. That being said, they do pretty well with English. It's just not their first language, so you'll have to excuse some of the typos and things like that. While 2020 was a year full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises were questionable to say the least, we hope the next year will have less surprises and it's going to bring us any. If it's going to bring us any. They should be absolutely positive, agreed? In these brick notes, we wanted to talk about the last update, our plans for the future, and recap the takeaways from the end of last year. Cool. 1. Master events. Ghost tiles in the spooky brick paste caused a big discussion in the community. Yes, that they did. Thank you for the cheer. We understand that it was a risky move because a lot of you like master events, and we appreciate the support from those who liked the idea of a more accessible master tile. We will definitely create new master events in the future and update old ones too. Also, we might add some master figures to future brick paste events, but we'll do it carefully. Great. So this is basically just a recap of what happened throughout the year. And I think that doing a recap in your brick notes is perfectly fine, right? They want to make sure that we are aware, that they are aware that some of the changes that they implemented into the game were cause for discussion. And some people liked the change and some people didn't like the change, but they are continuing to look into it. This is good. It's good. It's not news, really, but it's good. Also, starting from the next master event, its preview will start a week before the event starts instead of 3 days. It will give players the ability to prepare better for this kind of event and serve as a good reminder for those who don't like crossing off days in their calendar. Epic fail. It takes much longer than a week for anybody to prepare for a master event. This is an indication to me that the team has no actual idea of how long it takes to play the game and acquire new characters. Not to mention the fact that now there's no new characters really, so people have been farming everything for a very long time. So they're going to get this false positive in a way where if they don't release new characters, but they release new master events that require the use of characters we already have, that people are going to have no problem being ready for the master event if you give us a week's notice, because we're already ready for the master event anyway. You could give us 10 minutes notice and it would be the same as giving us 1 week's worth of notice. You can't farm up a whole team in a week. Now, I know what a lot of people might respond to this. Some people might say, well, listen, the game doesn't run or doesn't survive off of free-to-play people. So we can't just give everybody a full month to farm all of their teams and then not have to spend any money in the game, because the game can't survive if it's not turning a profit. And I agree, but there's got to be some middle ground here, because the whales can only whale if they have people to beat. After all, that's the purpose of whaling. It's to get ahead of the curve. Otherwise, you're just playing the game by yourself. Like, you wouldn't be able to compete with anybody in the arena if there was nobody playing the game. And right now, that's the only real place to go for whales. So there's no doubt in my mind that the people who spend a lot of money on the game are going to do so regardless of what the situation is, whether you give them a month to prepare or a week to prepare. People who are not going to spend money on the game are not going to spend money on the game if you give them a month to prepare or if you give them a week to prepare. The only difference is by only giving them a week to prepare, you just make them that much more unhappy that they still cannot compete at a high level because you're not giving them enough time to prepare. This post in particular to me is really disconcerting because they think by changing the amount of preview time from 3 days to 1 week, like that's going to solve a problem. No, that it's not going to solve any problems. The problems will persist and they won't change at all. And you'll still have people complaining to you about the exact same things they've been complaining to you about the whole time. This post is useless, and if people are upset about it, they should be. Another takeaway is the double looting issue, which was addressed many times in the community. Right now, we are choosing between a couple of solutions, and our plan is to make daily farming equal for players in all time zones, all around the globe. We will let you know as soon as we find the best solution for everyone. This is like 3-4 months old? And it still hasn't been fixed? This isn't news. This isn't brick notes. This is old information. This was 3 to 4 months ago that they were looking at fixing this. And now they're just telling us the same thing that they told us 3 months ago. This is spinning your wheels in the mud, folks. This is evidence that you've gone nowhere. Why are you telling us this? Just fix it and then tell us you fixed it. It doesn't even matter how you fix it. Just fix it and tell us you fixed it. Don't tell us you're still considering the same thing you were considering 3 months ago. That's ridiculous. In the last update, our team had a pretty small role. While the transition process was in full swing, we helped the Toronto team with all-star events and developed their release strategy. Now we strongly believe that with all gathered knowledge through this period, we are ready to make our own first update that will bring more improvements to the game. And what will that update be? They won't tell us. Because apparently they can't tell us, because I don't know. So what did we learn from this particular sentence? Well, we learned that this team actually worked with the Toronto team on the All-Star events. Unfortunately, that means that this team has been working on the game for longer than we thought. So the fact that they are still at the end of a transition period is even more aggravating because it means they've been working on the game for even longer than we thought they had been. Guys, do you read these things before you release them to us? In the next Brick Notes, we will share our plans for the next update and maybe even more. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, which you cannot do in the announcements channel on Discord, which means this was clearly a Facebook post that they just copied and pasted. You thought that we're not going to greet you? Really? Happy New Year, citizens of Piptown. Off to a great start. False, Maria. You're not off to a great start. You're off to no start. You haven't even started. This Brick Notes has almost no information in it whatsoever. It's got a recap. It's got a little bit of a recap where we can learn things that we already knew, which is good because it makes sure that we know we're sort of all on the same page. Except you then go forward to show us we're not all on the same page. You guys are still way behind the group. Way behind the expectations of the community, way behind any sort of update that provides any sort of information that we consider to be useful. In the next Brick Notes, we'll share our plans for the next update. So what was this? An announcement? That an announcement is coming? It's ridiculous. Guys, Maria, Emilian, you really need to read these things before you release them, and you really need to ask us some questions. Ask us some questions so that you can determine what information we want. The content creators have offered to help you so many times, and you have never taken us up on that offer. We are here to help. You just have to let us help. But we can't help you if you just ignore us all the time. If you keep telling us, I can't give you any more information because I don't have any. Well, somebody somewhere is working on the game, are they not? So they should be able to tell you what they're working on. You don't have to tell us when you're releasing it exactly, just Tell us what they're working on so that we know what to look forward to. It gives us the impression that the game is actually growing. When you tell us that the game is moving forward, those words are meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. It's just like, I might as well tell you, like, I am moving forward. And when people are like, how are you moving forward, Matt? You're like, well, I just am. And you're just going to have to take my word for it. This is useless information. So yeah, that's my take on the Brick Notes. If you disagree with me and you think that these are like really positive, please let me know. Say something in the comments. But I find this Brick Notes number 2 to be utterly useless. Utterly useless.